Hey there, I'm Sara Amundson, horror writer. I run the Make a Monster project. You request monsters, and I write short stories about them. And this week, I'm going to be reading a very fun story about a Taylor Swift monster. And this story is particularly special for two reasons. One, it's a fucking Taylor Swift monster. And two, I wrote it for Alicia Rye, the badass erotic romance author who is hilarious. You should be following her on Twitter if you're not. And oh yeah, buying all her goddamn books. And another reason this is a really special story is that Alicia is the very first monster parent to be eaten by her offspring. So this is obviously going to be a really sweet tale that we are about to experience together, and we should probably get started right away. Alicia bounded out of bed. Ever since she'd become a Swiftie, the act of waking up, of simply being alive, felt caffeinated. Her eyes sparkled. Energy and boundless joy fizzed through her, as if her blood had been replaced with glittery soda pop. Who would she convert today? She knew she should shower and change out of the oversized pink Taylor Swift t-shirt she used as pajamas. Okay, lately it was doing double duty as day wear too. She knew she needed to buckle down and get to work. She was scary behind on her newest book. But listening to Taylor, reading about Taylor, talking about Taylor, that was practically research for a romance writer, right? No one understood love in all its aspects better than Taylor Swift. Instead of bathing, Alicia went straight to her computer. Instead of opening her woefully neglected manuscript, she signed onto Twitter. It was the best place to create new disciples and spread Swiftie fever far and wide. There were so many lost souls out there not listening to Tay-Tay. It tore at her heart to imagine people stumbling through a grim, gray world untouched by the shimmering beauty of T-Swizzle. Alicia had developed a habit of putting a mark on the wall next to her computer each time she found cracks in someone's armor and successfully squirted the T-virus all up in their business. She used red lipstick to document her triumphs. It was the color that always adorned Taylor's perfect lips. Her office was running out of space for the hash marks. Alicia had lost track of how many tubes of lipstick she'd used up. An outsider would have taken one look at the crimson room of Crazy Pants and fled like it was the devil's boudoir. But the redder it got, the more she loved it. Red was practically her favorite Tay-Sway album. Within a few minutes of prowling Twitter, Alicia successfully badgered a horror writer into buying Taylor's newest album. She whooped with delight, searching her desk for the tube of Victory lipstick. But it was gone. She peered beneath the desk. There was nothing on the floor but old cupcake wrappers, tabloid magazines with Taylor's face on their wrinkled covers, and a large quantity of dust. She turned around to search the carpet behind her and saw legs. So many legs! Long, gangling legs. Some wore cowboy boots and keds. Some wore kitten heels. Some wore the glittering shoes of fairy-tale princesses, and some wore high-fashion, strappy numbers full of look-at-me attitude. It was the style evolution of Taylor Swift in footwear form laid out before her. Her eyes trailed up the legs as her hands lifted instinctively into a pose of reverent prayer. This was a vision. A holy vision being sent to her by Tay-Sway. A column of glitter and confetti swirled around the legs, 1 second pink, the next white, purple, blue, then red, a shifting cloud that formed outlines of outfits Tay-Tay had worn on red carpets and at concerts. Alicia recognized each one, of course, clapping her hands for her favorites. The being had numerous arms which swayed and waved with the trademark gawkiness that made Taylor's bad but earnest dancing so endearing. Its head was nothing but mouths, surrounded by waves of blonde hair with just the right amount of curl to make them bounce. So many perfect red mouths, tilted up at the corners in tiny, knowing smiles. Alicia hoped she had enough hot cocoa for all of them. 13, she whispered in awe. There was 13 of everything. 13 legs, 13 arms, 13 mouths. 13, the most powerful number in the Swiftyverse. Though Alicia knew this had to be the most important moment in her life, unease shivered through her. In the being's center, lurking amid the glitter and confetti, was an utterly blank space, a nothingness so absolute it made Alicia feel sick and scared to look upon it. It was like going blind, like being unmade. She resolutely forced her eyes away from the bad spot and said, "Why are you here? Does Taylor have a message for me? A mission? Do you want hot chocolate?" The glitter flared and danced, a pale arm lightening forward. There was a small black object in its hand. It took a second for Alicia to recognize the lipstick she used to document her triumphs. Perfectly manicured fingers twisted the tube, and the worn-down crimson lippy emerged from its tip. Alicia watched with her own hands balled under her chin, eyes wide with wonder like a child witnessing a spectacular magic trick. The hand scrawled Alicia across the dreadful blank space she didn't want to look at. And now it was quite easy to avoid looking at that impossible, mind-warping void and the smeary red letters that seemed to hover over it, because pain tore through Alicia's middle like a chainsaw. She struggled to yank her shirt up, which stubbornly clung to her skin, glued to it with blood. Alicia was hacked deep into the meat of her torso. Here, a bit of white rib flashed flirtatiously. There, her intestines tumbled out of their proper place, like a love-struck businessman persuaded by his impulsive girlfriend to do something wacky and carefree just this once. "Why?" Alicia screamed. Tears couldn't quench the betrayal burning in her eyes. The hand drew a red heart above the I in Alicia's name, and a hole carved itself into her chest through skin and breastbone down to the piece of her that meant the most. The end. So, as always, just a really quick little overview of Make a Monster, what it is and why I do it. You request monsters, and I write short stories about them. There is a link below this YouTube video to the Make a Monster request form. I am doing this to build a following for Dreamer, a trilogy of novels I am trying to get traditionally published. You can learn more by going to saraamundson.com and clicking on My Writing or Make a Monster. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sarah Terror. And I think that's all. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.